In a small village, there lived a young man named Hiro. Hiro was an unassuming soul, a humble potter by trade. His life had always been simple, filled with the rhythmic motions of shaping clay and firing pottery in his kiln. He lived alone, having lost both his parents at a young age, and his only companion was his work. Despite his quiet demeanor, there was something about him that always seemed burdened, an unspoken sadness in his eyes. Years passed, and one particularly harsh winter, the village was struck by a fierce storm. The winds howled through the trees, and the snow piled up in thick drifts. During that storm, Hiro's small workshop was destroyed. His kiln, his pots, everything he had worked so hard for was reduced to rubble. It was as if the storm had stolen his purpose, leaving him with nothing but the silence of loss. In the aftermath, Hiro wandered through the village, his heart heavy. The village was mourning, but he felt utterly alone, like a shadow of his former self. One evening, when the village was buried beneath layers of snow, Hiro ventured into the forest. He needed to find solace, or perhaps just some clarity. The darkness of the forest was overwhelming. Trees that seemed to close in on him, thick shadows that made every step feel uncertain. He walked for hours, not really knowing where he was going, just needing to escape the suffocating weight of his thoughts. Just as he was about to give up and return, something unusual caught his attention. Through the trees, he noticed a faint glow, a soft, warm light flickering in the distance. It was odd, especially in the midst of the storm, but something in him urged him to follow. He trudged forward, the snow crunching beneath his feet. As he drew closer, he realized it was not a fire, but a single lantern hanging on a low branch, glowing gently in the night. The lantern was old and weathered, but its light was steady. Hiro paused, staring at it in wonder. The light was small, yet it pierced the darkness in a way that seemed almost magical. He sat down beside the lantern, feeling strangely comforted by its presence. As he sat there, an elderly woman emerged from the shadows. Her hair was white as snow, her face lined with years of experience, and her eyes held the calm wisdom of someone who had seen both joy and sorrow. She wore a simple cloak and carried a basket full of herbs. "I see you found my lantern," the woman said. Hiro said it's beautiful. It's not just any lantern. It's a lantern for finding light in the darkest times, said the woman. But how can a lantern help in such darkness? My world feels like it's falling apart. I've lost everything I worked for. I feel hopeless. We all go through darkness, Hiro. It's part of life, but it's also in those moments, when we feel most lost, that we are given a choice. We can stay in the dark, or we can choose to find the light. It might not be a grand, shining light. Often it's something small, like this lantern, a flicker of hope, of kindness, of a new beginning. Hiro sat in silence, contemplating her words. He had always thought that light was something grand, something that would appear and sweep away all the shadows. But the more he thought about it, the more he realized that perhaps she was right. Maybe the light didn't come in an overwhelming flood. Maybe it came in the smallest of gestures, the quietest moments of clarity. Take these. They will help you begin again. Hiro accepted the herbs, feeling a sense of peace wash over him. He didn't know exactly why, but something in him shifted that night. When you find yourself in darkness again, remember this lantern. Remember that light comes in many forms, and sometimes the light we need most is the one we must create for ourselves. With that, she vanished into the night, as mysteriously as she had appeared. Hiro sat for a while longer, the lantern's soft glow a reminder of the wisdom he had just received. He then made his way back to the village. Over time, Hiro rebuilt his life. It wasn't easy. The village was still recovering from the storm, and there were days when he doubted himself, when he felt overwhelmed by the shadows. But he never forgot the lantern. Every day, he found little moments of light, whether it was in the smile of a neighbor, the warmth of a simple meal, or the joy of creating something new with his hands. He learned that light was not always found in grand moments, but in the quiet determination to keep moving forward, even when the path was uncertain. Years later, Hiro became known throughout the village not just as a skilled potter, but as a man who had learned to bring light to the darkest times. His pottery was filled with symbols of hope, of resilience, of finding beauty in hardship. And to this day, the villagers tell stories of the man who, when his world was consumed by darkness, found his way back to the light.